Hello everyone, I am Pat from Bound To Be Quilting. Today Mimi is not with us because I will be doing a demo on sewing this pattern called Morning on the Farm with the QT fabric called Heartland from the Morris Creative Collection. The fabric features this very large panel of the Rooster and some other great pieces, which is, let me get my fingers working here, the barn fabric, which will be on a border. Some more, we have some panels, some animal panels, which I'm going to show you how to cut out here in a minute. Some great little green flowers on some beautiful fabric. Some nostalgic trucks with flowers in them. Reminds me of going along the highways and seeing these old pickup trucks with these beautiful displays of flower in them. And then some red barn board. So let's get started this morning. The pattern's called Morning on the Farm. And it does the wall hanging and a bench pillow. And we're going to start by cutting the big panel. We're going to follow the directions that Mimi writes. Mimi writes beautiful directions, I think. That keeps us out of trouble usually. We do a lot of proofing on our patterns, and so we hope everybody enjoys the way we write. So the first thing we usually do when we get a pattern is we have to cut the panel out if that's in the section of the quilt, okay? So in this case, we know by looking at the pattern that these little beautiful quilt blocks have not been included, okay? I was trying to think the other day how I would use these, and I thought making a nice pretty little string purse out of these, or adding those to the not the disposable but the reusable grocery bags now would be perfect to put a strip of those in and showcase that you are a quilter. So let's get started. Our pattern says that we have to cut the panel, the first big large panel, to 27 by 39 wide. So we're going to look at this and we're going to take a measure and say, oh, that's 27 3/4 inches. Well, I'm going to have to cut 3/4 inches off of the height of this panel in order to make it work. Now, when I was looking at this panel, I said, oh, I don't want to cut equally on the top and bottom because I will cut into or sew into my chimney on the little house. So I am going to cut 3/4 of an inch off of the bottom. Now I went ahead and decided that I didn't need this little rust color strip all the way around. So I just started measuring 3/4 from the inside of that little rust strip and up to get my 27 inches. Now the other way is 39 inches wide. So we're going to go all the way, excuse my back, we're going to go all the way across here, and that is 40 and about 1/4, or just about 40. No, it's 40 and 1/4. So we know that we have to cut a little bit off of that. So we determined, or I determined, that I think 3/4 of an inch on either side made it. For this segment, I'm going to show you how I'm going to show you the panel that I cut here in a minute. And really then always try to we'll make sure that they're as straight as possible. What I did. We know that so I'll be right back when I change out the panel on the wall. Image can get a little distorted on the grain of the fabric, so we need to try to make sure that we are cutting it as accurately as we can, so we don't have either a skewed photo or image or out of alignment measurements. So in this case, I had shared that I was going to cut away that little rust strip. So I take the longest ruler I have, I align it with the rust strip, and very carefully cut in case I need to adjust the fabric, tugging it a little bit up or down to do it. I also try to get as much of my panel up on my cutting table, folding it upward like this so that it's not dragging and pulling the fabric askew one way or the other. So this way I know that I'm cutting a very nice straight line all the way across. And before we determined that we were going to use these really pretty kind of little squares, quilt squares. So I carefully just align, and then don't do any rushing here because you don't want to get miscuts in this. So we're going to discard that after we get this little piece here. And then we know that we have to measure our quilt 27 inches. So because I have a large mat, I can just align the zero, the top, now that I've just cut, down to see where I am. I'm at 27 and a half, so I know that I have to take a ½ inch off on this bottom piece now in order to get my 27 tall. I can do that one of two ways. One, I can just go ahead and take my fabric and put it on the mat and just cut a ½ inch off the bottom. We know that we're not cutting off the top. Now, I told you before that I thought I was going to cut 3/4 of an inch off, so I should probably double check my pattern instructions and make sure I'm telling you the right thing. So let's see. My width has to be 27 inches tall, so that's what I need to make it. I am going to remeasure. Remember, measure twice, cut once. Yes, this is 27 and a half. So maybe, I don't know why, I know I had to cut 3/4 off of the other panel. So maybe the two panels were not exactly the same measurement, or I changed something along the way here. So let's go ahead and cut off a ½ inch off the bottom quickly. This, you can just make sure your ruler is nice and even across that line that you just trimmed. And let's recheck and make sure we have 27. I can just fold this sort of in half, lay it on my mat, and voila, it's 27. So we have our height aligned. So now we're going to, we know our mat is not exactly wide enough for this whole, to cut it the other way. So let's carefully fold this in half, aligning our cut edges here, knowing that we have it in half exactly. Our mat, and it says it is 19 3/4. Well, we're going to use the calculator in case we don't do math very fast in our head, right? We're going to do 19.75 plus 19.75, and that equals 39 and a half. Our panel needs to be 39. So if we kept this folded in half like we have it right now, we would need to take off just a ¼ inch. ¼ inch on this side and a ¼ inch on the other side. And that would give us a half, we'd make it down to a 39-inch panel like we want. If you're brave like I am sometimes, and then, oh, I don't know, usually it works just fine. I can keep it folded in half, take my ruler, and very carefully align this on top very carefully cut my 1/4 inch off. Now the other way to do this would be to open it up and just cut a 1/4 inch off either side. So in this case, I was being brave. I just cut it in half like this, got rid of that, and my panel will now be 39 inches wide. And there we have this one cut. And we can start adding borders to this one. Now I'm going to show you what I do with the animal panel, because I think we determined that I need to have 3/4 on the top and 3/4 on the bottom of the red fabric in order to make my panel be 8 3/4 inches tall. So you may have to adjust this a little bit. Sometimes, you know, it could be a 1/16 inch off or something. So you need to remeasure always and adjust according to how the printing is on your piece. So again, I know I said I needed 3/4 inches on top and 3/4 inches on the bottom. But in order to make sure that my images are being straight and equal printed on the fabric, I am just going to do a chalk marking on here to make sure that when I open this up all the way across, I am getting a nice straight line. Sometimes we can get these a little bit going downhill or uphill, and sometimes it's because of the way our fabric is just resting on our cutting mat or our table. If there's any pull on it, then it would be, you know, out of line. So I do that just to be able to see a visual. Do I have any distortion going on? Okay, now I know I can go back and with my rotary cutter cut that. I also know that I need 2 of these panels for the bench pillow and 2 for the quilt. So when I started this, I should have made sure that there was enough fabric in between, printed in between, that I could achieve that. So I can. There's a 1/4 inch, 3/4 inches there. And see, I need to pull that one down a little bit to make it straight. And then I could chalk mark that in again, just to be sure that I am getting the right fabric, not cutting into anything that I need down the road. So that's how I cut my panels. I take extra time, I mark, I measure a lot, and then hopefully only cut one. Okay, gals, what quilters, I should say, not gals, because I know we have some wonderful men who are quilters. I need a ladder to put that top one on. So this is the thing. I've added my side red barn strips. Again, I had to piece those together. So the instructions said make a long strip of them and then cut your sides and then your bottom pieces. Sew those on, and then we're going to work and sew the blue truck with the floral in it onto the sides and the top and the bottom. So I will be back with the next steps after I get done sewing these, and then we will work through the next panel piece. Now, I am here by myself. Okay, back again. We have sewn on the sides of the blue trucks, which were 6.5 by 31, and the top and bottom, which was 7.5 by 55. We've then added the red barn strip, which was 2.5 by 55, to the top and bottom. Of course, like I said before, I'm by myself and I need a ladder to do this tall stuff. So now we're going to add our little animals strip of panel on. Yeah, in your fabric, I believe you had 5 choices to make of animals that we've cut out much earlier, talking about how we did the 3/4 inches on the top and on the bottom to make this work. We now are going to piece together some little strips of barn board, red barn board, and green floral, and we're going to put those add those to the top, to the sides of the animals. So you have one animal strip at the top and one animal strip at the bottom of your center now that you have been accomplishing. So I'm hoping that you've been pressing all the while, because all these seams are just straight seams. There's no triangles or anything to worry about which way we are doing. Just make it, press it the way you feel like you want the fabric to go flat. Okay, so let's go on back. We're almost finished, and we're just going to start adding outside borders pretty soon. So see how fast this has been going. It's working out beautifully. The fabric is beautiful. It's all coming together. Again, this is a QT Creations project with Pat and Bound To Be Quilting. Mimi's writing our patterns. The fabric line is called Heartland, and it is from the Morris Creative Group collection. So let me go back, let's finish this, and then we'll go ahead and pretty soon add on borders. Well, folks, I finished sewing up the top. Our quilter is gone for a couple of weeks and with her family on spring break, so we can't get this just quilted up just right now, but I want to show you what I did. Okay, so we started out, and I'm going to use this yardstick as a pointer. Okay, we started out with this centerpiece, and we added this nice red barn board border around our panel piece of our rooster. When we finished that, we added our blue border, which was the trucks with the flowers in them, which is just really a nostalgic piece of fabric. Just so fun with the flowers and the flowers in the beds of the truck. It's just a beautiful piece of great pattern. And then when we got done adding those around, we added another piece of barnboard just to the top and the bottom of this blue strip. Okay, and then we went and we talked about doing the extra panel. I haven't cleaned all the threads off yet. So this is the panel, and I believe I told you there was 5 strips of those. There's only 4. You know, when the fabric is laying all over your sewing room, you know, you forget how many pieces there are. So this was the 5 little blocks of animals that you get to choose which ones you want to put at the top and bottom. Then we went ahead and added another strip, a border, inner border of barn board. All of this is just really easy cutting, easy pressing, okay? And then we went along and we added our beige or brown barn board outer fabric. And now it's ready to quilt. So it was very easy to do. I'm going to show you the entire piece very slowly here if I can work the camera. And there it goes. That is your whole piece right there, from the top to the bottom, of great fabric called Heartland by Morris Creative Group. This is a QT Creatives project. I'm Pat with Bound To Be Quilting. Thank you for joining me in sewing this wall hanging together. In the pattern is a bonus bench pillow if you want to do it, and it will just follow along similar to the top of your border here. So we hope that you support QT Fabrics and Bound To Be Quilting. Everyone, have a wonderful year.